Chicago.
Chicago. We just recently returned from Chicago. Welcome to the Comic Book Syndicate.
That was two different songs. Yes, we visited Chicago and we hung out with one of our super friends. And let me tell you, we've made a lot of super friends over the years, but none is as super as Mr. Dave Losso of Chicago. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Comic Book Syndicate. This is Mike L. George and our new super friend Dave Losso.
He's new.
And we are in Chicago right now, aren't we?
Yep,
and
I think so, yeah.
And what do we call this place here?
This is Brainstorm Comics. This is the greatest comic book store in the world.
And back here is owner Robert
Kimmons. The greatest comic book store owner in the world. They just happen to have both of those in the same store.
Okay, so Dave...
They don't often line up, but today.
Dave, you are the creator of The Great Sandwich Detective.
Yep.
Do you have issue 4 already all planned out? Do you got that
it'll work.
or
there isn't...
Do you put a date on these things or just kind of...
I do. Yeah, I discipline myself as if I worked for a company. So I set deadlines, I yell at myself. I send myself emails. Like, why isn't this on my desk? And then I pound on my own desk.
Our first comic that we're reviewing today is Batman Snow, recommended by yourself.
Yeah, I read it and it was awesome because I'm really into that, like Seth Fisher's type of artwork, and so that was visually I was like, wow, like blown away. Like
it's beautifully drawn because he actually used a lot of blank white spaces in it, which is interesting for him because usually it's just jammed full of tons of stuff. So it was nice to see that he had.
Yeah, and what was cool too is like you would think like snow, like it's gonna be all like blues and like dark grays and stuff, but there's like a lot of panels where they're like vivid like primary colors and like it was awesome. That's
one of the things that stood out to me is the color palette was full, and the trend nowadays is going towards more grayish sort of muddy colors or like monochrome or whatever it's called, but this was absolutely full palette, so it's like it had the vibe of Silver Age, but it was computer coloring, so it took advantage of the full range of colors.
Does anybody remember the story?
No, it's something I've never seen before, where this is pre-Robin. It's set in the past, so Batman decides to recruit a team of experts in different fields to help him fight crime. By the end of the story, he obviously gives up on the idea, and there's a little hint of what's to come with Robin, the boy wonder. But it's, I like this story because it's something I've never seen before. It's not sort of just pandering to the, let's...
Classic Batman stories
let's bring a Joker in again, let's bring whatever. But, I mean, on top of that, it also is a sort of updated origin for Mr. Freeze, a little bit closer to the cartoon version. Yeah. And so, they incorporate his suit into the comic. They incorporate the story with his wife, which before the cartoon had never existed, as far as I know.
For that, you get a really good Alfred in this, which any Batman story gives me a good Alfred. And again, with his hair, the way that he draws the hair, and he gives that, you were calling it before, sort of that cartoon style with detail, right? And just does a beautiful job at it. And Alfred looks... But what's that first scene? He's in his pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
He's got little cloud pajamas on.
Stitching him up and stuff.
Yeah, great stuff.
And what I love too is this way of drawing Batman is sort of out of style nowadays, where they don't make him look overly muscular, overly cool. Seth Fisher draws him sort of like big belt, smaller chest, and almost like an Adam West costume, eh?
Well, yeah, he looks like a man.
A guy in a suit, a guy in a Halloween suit.
The thing I really like too, and that goes back to like him drawing the detail, was like even like in his gloves, you can see the trim. Which that's what I always liked about like when they portray Batman, is that he made his own costume. It's not like armor, like Christopher Nolan's Batman costume's cool. The idea of it, and it made sense. But like I was like the idea that it's like he's this millionaire like guy who can beat the crap out of people, but how do you know he knows how to sew perfectly? Like, so that was like it was cool. Like it was almost like a Haggard. Like you could tell he made his own costume.
And that's totally his style. You see all that in the capes when he's jumping, and he does sort of that beautiful, like the flowers you're talking about, and the cape takes on that life to it as well, like an organic life and all that sort of stuff. So it fit in perfect with that style. It doesn't often work with Batman because most people want to see him in armor. They don't want to see him all jazzed up with lasers and whatnot. But
the story was good, but the art is really what sells this book. And on that, I would absolutely recommend this comic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
George.
Yes.
Easily. All right. From what I remember, there was a problem with you getting to the store that day, wasn't there?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I had decided to take a $60 cab instead of taking a $2 subway ride. And I tell you, not worth any pennies of it.
Anyway, this week in the news, unfortunately, it's not very. It's kind of sad, not tragic, but sad.
I think it's telling of the time, the economical strain that we all exist within.
Yes, November was the third month of the year 2010 that didn't have any comics that sold over 100,000 copies. Yeah. So what that means is that usually in any given month, there's at least a handful of comics that sell over that threshold of 100,000. But in November, there was none. Batman: The Return #1 came out. We reviewed it, but unfortunately, our review was not enough to push it over the edge. So I don't know what to say about it, but...
Well, maybe we could review a comic this week and help it push over the edge.
Yes. Or we could review Batman: The Return again.
Again? Buy 2 of them.
You know what, and I've been saying this since the beginning of the Comic Syndicate, buy cheap comics, give them to your friends. Only good ones, though. Yeah. Or sign them out from the library and give them to your friends. But that is if you have any friends.
That's illegal, though, do that library thing.
Yeah. Well, no, you can get comics for free from the library. People do it all over the country.
Oh, okay.
Okay, guys, for this week's weekly review, we shall be reviewing Superboy #2 by Jeff Lemire and
Pier Gallo.
Actually, I want to start by saying the art. I went in for the story by Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
You can get out your paper there.
I got my notes.
Yeah. But the art is incredible, and even if Jeff Lemire wasn't writing the story, I would buy it. It's nothing like Frank Quitely, but it has a similar texture to it, and I like that. This guy and a few other guys right now are going completely against the grain of everyone else in the industry. And it's almost like a Colleen Doran. Remember Colleen Doran?
Yeah.
She's still around, but I mean, she was really big in the 80s and 90s. And it just has this really weird texture to it that I really, really like. Bright colors, of course, great storytelling. And storytelling is so much better than average that it's actually, I think, bringing out the writing in Jeff Lemire. I mean, he's also writing the Atom. But this, I think, comes off a lot better because of the art. What do you think?
Yeah, well, the art it's not just the art, but the coloring is great. Mm-hmm. It's, again, bright, simple, wonderful, but the pacing is great. It's sexy without being, I mean, there is some lewd stuff in there, almost just barely, like, we just have to go a little bit further.
There is penetration.
And there is some stuff in there that is just, but it's not gross, sexy, like Lady Death or any of that sort of stuff. It's tasteful, I guess.
Yes, it is.
If you want to say,
it's feminine.
It's very feminine, but a great, fantastic artwork, and the story, the relationship between the two guys, fantastic. It's awesome. The sexy stuff.
It is. No, it is. You know what? These are real people, right? Like this guy, his buddy Simon, has a real desire to team up with him, even though he's this regular guy in Superboy. I want to say really quick. When I found out that Jeff Lemire was doing Superboy, I really hoped it was the Clark Kent Superboy, back when Superman was a kid. Yeah. It's not. It's the clone Superboy Con-El. I'm not as happy about the character, but you know what? The fact that he's back on Smallville and he's, protecting the city, and it's sort of Jeff Lemire's, it's his... What is the word? Milieu? It is
the small. I mean, that's what he got his first break in was the small county life and the farm equipment and that sort of thing. So again, not his artwork, but you get the feeling of the rolling fields, and he even says it at one point. Like he says, it's my responsibility. I have to protect Smallville, which I never really understood. And for the first time, I care about this character.
Yeah, I agree.
Or at least find him interesting.
Yes, I'm in for the long haul. This is a great comic book. I highly recommend it. And speaking of Jeff Lemire, we recently got a chance to speak to him about a little bit about Superboy and a lot about the Atom. Are we going to see anything like Essex County ever again from you, do you think?
Oh, of course, yeah. It's, I'm doing a new graphic novel for Top Shelf as well.
Okay.
It's much in the same vein of Essex County work.
With the Atom. Were you a fan of the Atom growing up specifically, or is it just sort of a character that was available to you?
Well, it's what they offered me. It wasn't something I sought out, but I mean, I'm a fan. I grew up reading all the DC stuff, so I love all the characters. I especially love those sort of original Silver Age versions of the characters, like Barry Allen, Al Jordan, and Ray Palmer. So it was great to be able to take Ray Palmer back to that kind of those roots, maybe modernize them a bit.
Okay,
so definitely. Yeah.
And do you think that in the future you'll be able to draw one of these characters, whether it be Atom or Superboy or anyone else?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Right now, I mean, drawing a book takes a lot of time, and if I'm going to put that much time into something, I'd rather it be something I own.
Sure.
And if I still have the opportunity to write these other characters on the side, So why not do both?
Now, before we wrap up, I want to let you know our friend Danny has a theory about Sweet Tooth.
Okay, what is
He
it?
thinks he knows what the big revelation is.
What is it?
The whole planet is ruled by apes. What do you? You got to figure it out.
Yeah, how did you know?
You guys heard it here first. Unbelievable. Thanks for the exclusive.
Thanks.
Jeff Lemire, everybody. So it is pretty interesting. As he said, he's more interested in writing these characters, not so much drawing.
Yeah, which is funny because when I first met Jeff in Toronto, when the Essex County books were still coming out, he was selling little colored drawings of Wonder Woman and Batman, and all in his style, like all not humorous, some of them humorous. Miracle Man, the Atom he did. There was tons of them. He was selling them for so cheap, and they were wonderful. And I bought a bunch of them, gave them away as gifts. I should have kept them, but they were gorgeous. He does great versions of these characters. I wish he would draw them.
Me too. Maybe DC can use the money that they're saving. Oh wait, no, they lowered their prices. How does that work? Anyway, if we haven't mentioned it before,
on the back end.
Yeah, I just want to say one more time, we are coming to you from Essex County, and this is the Comic Book Syndicate, and we will see you again next week.
Welcome again to the Comic Book Syndicate reviews. As the snow falls. It's probably your mother.
Why did you say something like? Why did you say something?